Dear Ask the Dog Guy, I was wondering if I could get some advice about a dog I sometimes look after. She's a 3-year-old Labradoodle. She's living between two houses currently, but in recent times I've minded her. I've noticed a big change in her behavior. She used to be great off lead. Now she bolts when an opportunity arises and she seems completely unsettled, almost like she doesn't know a safe place anymore. Her owners have noticed these behavior changes also. Do you happen to have any tips on what can be done? Thanks. Jessica in Sligo, Ireland. Well, Jessica, it looks like three homes really. It's if I read this correctly, we've got living between two houses currently, but in recent times I've minded her, which to me in my mind that means three places, but even two. So the dog's 3 years of age. I can tell you as a rule of thumb, dogs once they hit 3 years of age, whatever you've seen in their behavior up to that point is unlikely to change unless there's been a drastic change in their lives. And I don't know whether this living in between two houses is a recent change or something else. Sometimes it's a health issue. But I'm going to assume this is a fairly new change in day-to-day routine. So something's changed, lack of consistency. Years ago, I got a phone call from the provincial courts telling me that I had been assigned to a court case, and it was the disposition of property in a divorce case. And in my region anyway, a dog is considered property, and this was the last, pardon the pun, bone of contention between the husband and wife. And so it just so happened that the lawyers for both the husband and the wife and the judge all had been clients of mine, and so they decided that they would have me make the decision as to where this dog would go. So anyway, I did the interview, and I think there was sort of an assumption that, all right, it's kind of like a kid, so it'll spend weekends with dad and whatever. And that's not what once I got to interview everybody and see the dog with them, it seemed pretty apparent to me that the dog was being used as leverage or a weapon against the lady in this situation. So she sincerely wanted what's best for the dog, and so she got the dog, and the other people got nada. I don't think they missed anything out of it. I think they truly were just being malicious about it. But in this case here, I would be kind of looking at, unlike a child, children need continuity and having everybody on the same page. That's very, very difficult in the best of situations. But with a dog, it's certainly true as well. And so that's my first suggestion here. Second suggestion, the suggestion being maybe put the dog in one home and provide some consistency. Now, if not, some other things that I would look at is sometimes the rules are different, as it is with kids in different households, and there's certain rules you don't mess with either a child or a dog. With the dog, I would be looking to see if this Labradoodle has been looking out windows in one house, or spending time in the yard or the garden where in an unsupervised manner, because that's something that can contribute to overstimulation outside, because inside they're kind of getting their evolutionary programs triggered, prey and territorial infringement, all that kind of stuff. And it can get them wound up, so when they get outside, they can't even think. They just run to the nearest thing that they've been looking at the window through. So that's a possibility. You mentioned here, I'd made in my notes that she doesn't know a safe place anymore, and I didn't take that to mean while she was out and about. I think you were maybe perhaps alluding to what I was just saying, is maybe she needs some stability here in one home, or they got to get their acts together and have the exact same rules. Tips on what to do. Well, either way, we got to get her back on track. And to me, I don't need any dog I own to be Lassie, but if I like to go hiking or camping or fishing, or I want to take my dog, and that means if I say come, I want to see grass stains on the pads of their feet. That's a freedom granting exercise if they do it like a job. So normally, if the cycle's broken, and I don't have enough information, so I'm going to err on the side of caution here. But if I was taking that dog anywhere, I would put that dog on a long line. Just remember this rhyme. I often mention it in my podcast. If a dog can't be caught, it can't be taught. But it's learning anyway. So come means if you got a minute, check your day timer now. You need to break that cycle. So what we want is the dog to be free, but not free to make mistakes. So if you went to a tack shop, you can go to a dog supply place and buy a long line for them. I'm not talking about extended leads where you're hanging on to it. I'm talking about just a really long line. I don't like the ones they typically have at dog places because they're just basically a nylon strap, which will burn the crap out of your hands or cut your hands even, or your ankles if they get wrapped around. So I also would suggest going to a tack shop. And for a dog this size, getting a horse lunge line, 30 feet. Buy 2 of them and tie them end to end if you're worried about your ability to get to the dog before it gets too far away from you. But a horse ones, typically, I don't know about Ireland, but here in Canada, a horse one will be 1/3 of the price of what they sell in the dog place, and it'll be 3 times the quality, and usually there's a little bit more padding. I still would recommend wearing boots so it doesn't get wrapped around your ankle and burn you, and it still could wrap you and you could get tripped up, but you just have to be savvy. Also, depending on what you do for a living, you might want to have some gloves before you grab onto that thing, because some people's hands are well calloused and others are not. But basically, she's just dragging it around. And she can go do what she wants. But whenever you want her to come, you pick it up and you say, come. And she says, I don't want to. And you go, well, it sucks to be you because I wasn't asking you. And you haul her in and you just love her up. You want to give her a treat from time to time? Go ahead, give her a treat. But give her the biggest treat of all, which is your approval. That's part 1. Part 2 is say, good girl, away you go. You're free. And off she goes. And then immediately recall, come, and haul her in again. And do it 3 times in a row, and then let her be a dog again for a while. But anytime you apply, you ask her to do something, ask her to do it 3 times in a row, and just to kind of gel for her to be able to see a pattern and recognize what it is. I think what you'll see is you'll see her return sooner rather than later. Why did I say for a full year? Because, if she was just a wee pup, she'd be dragging a long line everywhere I went till she was an adult, because that's how long I dragged my long line. John, where are you going? When are you coming home? Who are you going to be with? What's the phone ring about? Mom, I'm 14. Don't you trust me? It's not the point. The point's not trust. It's not trying to reckon her freedom, but her freedom to make mistakes long enough until she hears come and she knows there's no choices. You have encountered every possible piece of wildlife, dog, whatever, and she has encountered the word come and understood that it doesn't mean she can't interact with a squirrel or whatever, but if she hears the word come, she has to stop. So that's what I would be doing to get her back on track. And I don't think it'll take too much, and hopefully if she doesn't end up in one home versus the other, she will at least be if you can share this with them, then maybe they'll just kind of embrace the long line and look for things that might be undermining her recall, like looking out the window or time alone in the yard unsupervised. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. If you find that any of the many free resources I provide companion dog owners via the Ask the Dog Guy YouTube channel or website have informed you, saved you time, and perhaps even saved you a little money, please buy me a coffee. Alternatively, you can also become a monthly sponsor, which will go a long way to spreading the word about science and common sense in the companion dog training world. You can find details in the notes. Many thanks.